Hello there everyone, Matt here with thevirtualinstructor.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at a time lapse that was taken from a series of lessons which come from one of our newest courses, Realistic Pencil Drawing. Now this course, Realistic Pencil Drawing, is included with the membership program. All of our courses are free for members. Now, in this particular course, we take a look at the techniques and secrets artists use to create realistic drawings with pencil. Now, if you want to check out our membership program, which includes a broad variety of drawing and painting courses on a variety of subjects, and also weekly live lessons, weekly critiques, which are part of the Members Minute, and a year-long curriculum for visual arts teachers, I'll leave a link in the description below. You can go check that out. And I'll also leave a link to this new course in the description below this video as well. Now, I'm going to give away a free year-long membership to one of you guys. Now, to learn how you can be considered for this, you have to watch to the end of the video, and I'll tell you what you need to do in order to be considered. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the time lapse. Now, of course, I started this drawing using a lot of measuring and mapping. I started with a bottle at the top, and then I used my pencil as a measuring tool to find the locations of the opening of the glass, the bottom of the glass, and I could use the pencil to make comparisons between different sections of the drawing. Again, this process is called measuring and mapping. A lot of times people refer to it as sighting, and this entire module from the course was focused on that technique, of course. This technique, of course, ensures accuracy in your drawing. You can see my initial sketch here is done very lightly using a 2H graphite pencil. Well, it's actually 2H graphite inside of the lead holder. And once I had the initial sketch in place, basically the contour lines, I went over the top of it with an HB graphite pencil to make the lines a little bit darker. And this is because it was time to add a bit of powdered graphite to the surface. You can see I'm applying the powdered graphite here with the mop brush and then blending it with the blending stump. This, of course, provides a toned base for us to work on. Instead of working on the white of the paper, it gives us a nice middle value to work from, and this allows us to make better comparisons between the values as we add them to the surface. It also allows us to use the eraser to erase out the highlights. So instead of just focusing on the dark shapes, we're also focusing on the lighter shapes as well, and using the eraser as basically a mark-making tool to draw the highlights in, if you will, when you're actually erasing the powdered graphite from the surface. You can see here that I've switched over to a darker graphite pencil. In areas I'm using a 2B graphite pencil, and in some areas I've switched over to a 4B graphite to get some of those nice dark values. I started at the top with the bottle at the top. There's a very highly reflective surface up there. There's lots of contrast, and then worked down the stream of water here, just paying attention to the shapes of darker and lighter value that we see in the reference. And as long as you match the shapes and also the darkness or lightness of the value, then you're going to end up with a drawing that's fairly convincing and fairly realistic as well. Now, this paper that we're working on here, this is Polar White Stonehenge paper. It does have somewhat of a heavier tooth associated with it, so the softer graphite pencils especially are going to show the texture of the paper. So using a blending stump allows you to work some of the material into the tooth of the paper and basically smooths it out, so it gives it a more even, smoother appearance. And of course, this is very important when you're drawing a subject such as water, which has a very softer texture or a smoother transition between values a lot of times. So as you can see, I'm working my way from the top of the picture plane down to the bottom of the picture plane, and partly this is due to the fact that I want to make sure that I'm not smearing the surface of the paper or smearing the graphite on the surface of the paper with the palm of my hand. Now, I'm using a paper towel underneath the palm of my hand to protect the paper and keep this from happening, but it's always a good idea to kind of think about your approach, especially when you're doing a drawing like this that's detail oriented and it needs to stay nice and clean. Think about where the palm of your hand's going to be. Now, as you can see here, I start with lighter applications, basically sticking with 2H, then moving on to HB, and then finally 2B and 4B, also using the eraser to pull out some of those highlights. And the trick to creating realistic drawings a lot of times is forgetting about what you're drawing.
drawing and instead focus on the shapes of values that you see and the lines that you see. Basically, just focus on the elements of art that you see within the image and try to replicate those in your drawing, because this is ultimately how we see the world around us. We see the world as a collection of abstract shapes of values and colors and textures. And of course, our mind puts that information together and makes sense of the world around us. So when we're creating a drawing, of course, we're creating an illusion, and we're essentially fooling our viewers into believing what they see as reality based on the elements of art: value, texture, color, line, shape. And if we capture those things in our drawing accurately, then we're going to create a realistic drawing. Now, as we move down to the middle portion of the glass, you can see that there's a lot more smoother transitions between dark and light. So I spend a little bit more time here creating that transition, gradually working to the softer graphite, the 2B and the 4B graphite, and then patiently blending those applications so we do have that smooth transition. And down here at the bottom, you can really see how the texture of the paper really highlights those softer graphite pencils, or I should say those softer graphite pencils really highlight the texture of the paper before it's blended into the surface using a blending stump. Now, hopefully at this point, you can see the advantage of adding that powdered graphite to the surface. Of course, it allows us to work those light and dark values, mainly the lighter values, of course, which, as you can see, are so important in creating a realistic illusion here in the drawing. You can imagine if the areas around the strong reflections at the bottom of the glass were light, like if we were working on a white surface, they would be less evident and less clear, of course, and we need that contrast in value to create a convincing image here. You can see the bottom of the glass has a lot of darker values as well as the lighter values, so we can progressively and slowly build up that contrast. Remember, value is the darkness or lightness of a color, and value is relative. That means that we understand the value on a subject based on the values around it, so we can make an area look darker by making an area right next to it a little bit lighter and vice versa. Now we're working on the cast shadow, which has a very strong highlight right in the middle of it, and that's because light passes through the water and the glass and it actually becomes intensified. So instead of seeing a solid area of cast shadow behind the glass, we're going to see cast shadow, of course, but we're also going to see this area of really intense light where the light passing through has actually been intensified and is on the surface behind the glass of water here. A few final touches are made to the drawing, and then the drawing was complete. This drawing took about 5 to 6 hours to complete.
Thanks so much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you were able to pick up a couple of things here and there. If you're new to the channel, or if you haven't done so yet, why not subscribe? We cover a broad variety of drawing and painting subjects and media here. Click on that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so you get notified when we upload a new video. And if you want to check out 3 of our course videos and ebooks for free, there's a link in the description below this video. Clicking on it will take you to another page. You enter your email address, and then you have instant access to 3 of our course videos and ebooks absolutely for free. If you want to check out our membership program, again, there's a link in the description below. You can go check that out. Everyone starts off with a free week-long trial. And as I mentioned before, I'm going to give away a free membership to one of you guys, a year-long membership absolutely for free. All you have to do is put in the comments below why you like drawing with graphite pencils, and I'll pick one of you guys at random, and I'll announce the winner in an upcoming video. Thanks again for watching, and as always, I wish you all the best in your artistic success.